All right, hi everybody. Welcome to Crosscast again. We have another episode today. We have my friend Danny. I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Who are you, and why should we listen to what you have to say?
Oh, I don't think you have to listen to what I have to say. You really don't.
I wanted to put you in the spot there. Like,
oh my God. Who am I? Who am I?
That's a profound, messed up question to ask.
That's a very messed up question. Well, I am a survivor. Let's put it that way.
Destiny's Child.
Yeah.
Good start.
My name is Danny De Mena. I am married with the wonderful Anna May Delgado. She's a very active person here at the church.
Awesome.
She's actually one of the substitute teachers for the Sunday school.
She brought some of the foam one of these Sundays.
I know she did. She told me, yeah.
So good.
So, yeah, I started off saying that I was a survivor. Why am I a survivor? Well, I did so many things when I was younger that I'm not going to say I shouldn't have done, because it was a hard learning curve.
Right.
And I don't, hold on, let me just put this off. Sorry.
It's okay. It's real life. Like,
yeah.
Unscripted, unedited.
Yeah. So the thing is, I did so many things that I can't say I regret. I think it was part of the hard learning curve that I've always been used to, and I still am. I did every drug imaginable on earth.
Right.
I listened to all the satanic heavy metal that could be in store at the time. I still do listen to heavy metal, but obviously there's a filter in between now. So I try to control that. And I've been, I would say, not really active in church for the past 20 years, because I've been a member of this church for 20 years. But I mean, I've had just a pretty rough schedule, full of excuses. And for some reason, I have been taking not so much part in the things that I would love to take part in. And that's why Steve actually calls me La Oveja Negra de la Iglesia. But it's just me. I'm me. I've tried to be better, become a better person. I am, I think, a good example of somebody that likes to help, somebody that likes to be helped. I'm not embarrassed to ask for help when I need it. It's just being yourself. Some people are embarrassed. Some people are not. I'm not embarrassed of anything. So, hey, here we are. Great idea of you doing the podcast. It was actually very interesting how we actually got to meet each other.
Yeah. This is your fault. All this. Thank you so much for providing
I love it. I think it's awesome that it is my fault, because it's due time. I remember I came to Steve with the idea, but I think my idea was a little bit off the board. He was like, nah, "You're too crazy, dude."
and when I presented this to him, I needed to explain that it's very easy for us to want to make Jesus cool and fun and popular, and I get where that comes from, but I don't think he needs my help, man. I think the Bible stands up for itself. The approach, we need better strategies. We need better approaches to reach people. I understand that, but I don't know. So what I told him was, we're just going to be real. We're going to go through the Bible. We're going to have real people with real lives, real problems, and you're number, I don't know what this is, you're number 10. You're the 10th guests that we've had.
I like that number.
And it's real people, dude. We've had couples, we had a psychologist, a Christian psychologist, and I want to thank you publicly. I had the idea and you came at the right time. It was orchestrated. And there was the fear that this was going to take up a lot of my time and blah blah blah, but it's fácil.
It's actually a beautiful time, because you get to speak to so many people, and one of the beauties about having a podcast, may it be audio podcast or may it be like this video podcast, is that you really get to embrace other people, and you get to know other people in a way that you never thought you would.
It's therapy.
It's therapy.
It's my therapy
and I kid you not. One of the reasons that I wanted to start a podcast eventually, which didn't work out for several reasons, because I was trying to do it with somebody together with a group, and it didn't work out. So I think this is the closest I can get to a nice, beautiful podcast, is because I have dealt with mental health issues.
Yep.
As have so many people, and just speaking out about your issues, your problems, and not shutting up and not shutting down and, going into your cocoon is such good therapy. Yeah.
Like all those guys who have podcasts, like I watched podcasts because I live in social media because of the ministry. And it's like, wow, they're just having conversations and talking about life and talking about stuff. And if we could have that en el marco de what God has done in our lives, what a great thing to do.
Yeah.
So let's start doing that. So we're going to go through Psalms, and we're going.
Put me in the spot.
I'll put you in the spot. Psalms 4. Let me see. Y esto hace más o menos como que Spanglish, inglés. We may break out into Spanish. Puede que comencemos a hablar inglés. Like I grew up with my sister.
But you know why? You know why we're going to do that?
Why?
Because we can.
Because we can. So my sister and I, somos panameños. Nos mudamos a Miami cuando está en quinto grado. And my sister and I still speak un híbrido between both. And I thought it was just me until I went to this Puerto Rican wedding. Those dudes are like, Maria, tráeme the thing that we're going to comer mañana en la tarde so we can do the... It's just seamless. I'm like, oh my goodness, people do speak this hybrid of a language. There's some people who have that. And then somebody told me that that's what English is. English is a hybrid of like French mezclado con French mixed with like Celtic mixed with like es un patois. It's hilarious.
You remember that show? The guy was talking over the fence?
Yeah. You're
getting posted, buddy.
Excellent. I love it. Yeah,
I mean, it's just awesome. I'm so happy that this is coming together.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
and we've been able to clarify stuff. I've been just having conversations like in this era of everything being chats. And chats, I understand, are practical, lo que sea, but to look at a person face to face and hear their heart, me explico, como que their physical posture, la forma en que conversan, we've lost conversation. We don't do that anymore.
I see it as, when people start opening up and they're like really like, and I am a very unfiltered person, and I like myself that way. It's I think it's just being perfect in your imperfections. That's the way I see it. I mean, just there's nobody's perfect in the world, but you can be perfect being unperfect or imperfect.
Right, and ultimately
just being genuine.
Esa es la palabra, genuino. Be authentic, be genuine, be who you are. Like, you guys don't know this, who don't know this guy. Este man es así, aquí, donde sea.
Yeah. You're not going to get anything else because I'm in front of a mic.
There's no máscara. And there's people who do that. There's people who, because I deal with high schoolers, and one of the challenges they have is, Jorge, it's exhausting for me to put on that mask every day in school because I'm not that guy. But I created that guy so that I could survive. It's almost like prison. Like I created that guy so I could survive the los pasillos. But then I'm exhausted all day because that's not who I am. I come across as a jerk, as selfish. I'm actually a nice person, but I've created this persona so that I can survive. And hay tanta gente que vive una vida, and that's exhausting, man. Like you speak differently to different people, you talk differently to different people. Like it's exhausting.
But you know what it is, and I honestly believe that it's just I think it's the exposure people have nowadays in social media. I think social media has distorted so much social life. It's distorted in so many ways, like you say, the authenticity of a person. And just because you're like looking everywhere, okay, somebody with a phone, and now people just bully so they can be recorded and be cool on camera. I mean, if they only knew what we know now, at our age, that is so uncool.
It is.
And yeah, I just think social media is the best platform, and it depends on how you use it. Because I'm not going to thrash social media entirely, but I think there's more percentage of negative things that can come out of social media in regards to kids, suffering. The fakeness of social media, the big percentage of what's fake on social media. Life is not perfect. Life is not always sunshine. Right. The sky can get gray very often. It can get hard. And there's so many kids today, and I have 3 kids of my own, and I have a daughter who's doing very well, and I have 2 other kids that suffered a divorce, a very harsh divorce, and they just put on a mask sometimes. And I tell them, listen, guys, you have no need to do that. Don't try to be cool, because it's not cool trying to be cool. And I always tell them, you know what's really cool? Honest to God, being yourself is the coolest thing on earth.
Because it takes courage.
Yeah, just be yourself and embrace it. And I think they're kind of getting it now in their 20s. And the other thing that I don't really share with social media, and I am a social media fan, to be honest, and it's kind of contradicting, but I am. It's simply. I don't know how I can say it. Every time you look into into somebody else's social media, it seems everything to be perfect.
Right. But
nobody really. I think they're embarrassed of being like authentic, like the word we just used. So I don't know. It's just really sad to see how superficial life has become in these past 15 years, 20 years.
Do you think that maybe it's always been like that, and now we have a platform that magnifies it? Because I know people who dress like they're filthy rich, están endeudados hasta la zapatilla, the refrigerator's like empty, they're driving a car that they barely make payments for, and they live this fake life. Like, I think this happened before, but I feel like now it's easier to do it because you can fake a bunch of stuff with a picture.
Let me give you my opinion. I don't know, because I'm not a psychologist, but what I do know is that yes, we did have this before. Yes, it did not come out as easily, to the broad light, because we didn't have the phones,
the platform,
and the platforms to do so. But I kid you not, I think now the amount of increase of mental health issues I think it's just because of this social media platform pressure that is always, constantly banging on you, and you're trying to show something else because your life has been exposed at a certain level that is, in a certain way, it's out of control.
Can you imagine if there were pictures of you from everything you did in the 90s?
I'd be dead.
I'd be dead.
I'd probably commit suicide.
And we're not using that word lightly, because there are people that do that. There are people who immediately regret everything they've posted in a season of immaturity in their lives, and they're paying for it now.
Yeah.
It's like I did Ponchera en los 90s, and I'm sure a bunch of people did, that there's no documentation. There's no pictures of me lying down in a ditch. There's no pictures of me tirándome de un palo en las Mendozas en Penándome en Fuego. There's no pictures of me doing any of my stupidity. And now there's pictures of kids. There's a ledger of every stupid thing you've done that follows you for the rest of your life. I've heard, if you go to an interview, they look at your social media.
Yeah.
They look at your...
That's one of the first things they do nowadays. Because they want to... And I think it's unfair because... Like I said, social media is just fake. It's just it's like a character you may build. I mean, I'm not going to
an avatar.
Yeah, it's like an avatar, and I mean, I don't want to even think about where we're heading with this metaverse thing.
Yeah.
But I kid you not, I think that if I were ever filmed, or if there is any recordings of what I've done in the past, I would have right now a very hard time dealing with it.
But esa la vaina, the one who does have detailed accounts of everything you've done and I've done, this guy.
Yeah, he loves
us.
But he's the only one who can judge us. Nobody else can judge us.
And he loves us. And that lands to where we're going to talk today. Nice segue. Psalm 4, from the choir director, a psalm of David, to be accompanied by stringed instruments. Isn't it cool that these are songs?
I am a frustrated musician.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're a musician.
Mm-hmm. And frustrated too.
Yeah, and I kid you not. I mean, every time, and I'll be very honest, I am not a guy who sinks into the Bible because I'm just too lazy. But Psalms is cool because Psalms for me are all songs.
Son plenas.
It's lyrics.
Yeah.
I mean, we could actually try to sing one of these, man.
Absolutely. And there's videos of people in Israel who have versions of Psalms en hebreo, and it sounds dope, man.
Yeah. Can we rock and roll it?
I'm sure you can.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Right?
I mean, if the hymns that we have today, the classic old solemn hymns, were like bar songs.
Yeah.
Que le metieron letra de himnos. So they would take a drunk song and they would go like Amazing Grace. Let's shove that in there, or like, let's I don't know, maybe not Amazing Grace. I don't know, but they're different songs that were originally songs that drunk people sang that they changed the lyrics for. So the fact that this is music, son plenas, and this is from a time, you remember a time when the only way you can hear a song was you either owned the album or you heard it on the radio. There was a time. That was the only thing. And kids today can't understand that. ¿Cómo así que no la bajabas? What about YouTube? No. The only time I heard War Pigs was when either I had it on the album or lo ponía Peter Hernández un lunes. That was the only time. The only time. Now you have free access to all of this. Psalms are from an age that the only way you could hear a song was if the dudes played it live in front of you.
Yeah.
So for them, music was very super special. And that there's a whole book of music in the middle of the Bible, and it's enormous. I love it. And that David wrote it. Y David es un desgraciado. David is a broken man who had a guy murdered, had a bunch of wives.
Like, he was authentic.
He was a real guy, and he loved God. I identify with David because, oh my goodness, if he's okay, I haven't killed anybody. I'm not trying to make a competition of who's the biggest sinner or who is, but like...
Yeah, but it's a good example, of not being perfect. Being perfect in your imperfection.
Right. Yeah. And being sincere and transparent.
Yeah, just be authentic.
So comienza, answer me when I call you, O God, who declares me innocent. You were talking about judgment. Yeah. The only one who can actually judge us. And judgment means to make a decision, saying like, we found all this evidence, you were a murderer. That part is the judgment. The only one that can judge us is God, and he declares us innocent. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Free me from my troubles, have mercy on me, and hear my prayer. Do you struggle with prayer? Is it difficult for you to pray?
Sometimes. This is the thing. It depends on how we see it, because it's not that I have a schedule.
Right.
People may think I'm crazy when I'm in my car, because I'm talking, and sometimes I'm talking to myself because I'm analyzing things.
Right.
But a lot of the times I'm actually having a conversation with God.
That's awesome.
About many things, about what decision I should make in regards to the offer for example, an offer I may get, a job offer. Decisions I should make in regards to maybe things that I'm thinking about with my wife to do. And sometimes I have a conversation with him and I ask for help. And I talk to him. I just say, Jesus, man, I really need your help. And I just go in deep. And, in a blink of an eye, I'm having this very sincere, deep conversation with my boss. And after that, I think if that's prayer, then I guess I pray.
Yeah.
But I don't sit in front of the Bible and say, I don't do that. I just go about it very casual.
Yeah. Because ultimately it's communication.
Yeah.
Like, do you call your mom? Do you call your dad? Do you spend time with your kids? Like, it looks different for different people in different ways they live their life. So what is more authentic? Like, it would be fake for you to ceremoniously sit and pray if that's not really when you're communicating with. If you're doing it to fulfill a social requirement or a cultural requirement, like, I'm not praying unless I'm on my knees and I got the Bible in one hand and the whip in the other. Like, that's not a requirement. The purpose of prayer is conversation. Yeah. To talk with God, and you can do that anytime. I pray to God washing the dishes, going to the bathroom, taking a shower, like playing with my kids,
okay.
like. I have because he's always on. Like, I
just thought you were going to say something else.
No. Cool. His line is always open. Oh my goodness, family show. His line is always open. Like, I can always go, God, why does my daughter have a 39.4 fever after 2 weeks of her being sick again?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, I'm not complaining. I'm just like voicing my frustrations to my dad. Like, oh man, this sucks. What do I do? How do you help me? You've given me this to eat. Give me a better fork. Help me find. And like you were talking about mental health, verbalizing stuff is amazing. Just speaking it out, just putting it out there, hearing your own voice saying, I need help.
And especially in men.
Oh yeah,
men are just so proud, and they're so like, I don't have a problem. I don't want to. You're like, no, talk about it, man. Open your mouth.
We drive with a mattress on top of the car tied down, and we hold it down.
Yeah.
We don't need it.
We didn't need to.
That's unnecessary. Like,
that's a good analogy.
Oh my goodness! Like I got this. No, there's a comedian that does this bit about it. Like the guy driving I think it's Seinfeld. He has his hand over the mattress. Like I got it. I got it. Like no, dude, it's a mattress. You don't got it.
Well, my ADD is kicking in. So let me just.
Yeah, please look around. I remember you telling me we have to create an environment. What I want to do is to get panels like those black ones, but of other colors, like some other color pattern or something.
You know what you do? Just keep it black, man. You know,
keep it black.
Yeah, you got to paint this wall gray. I told you that.
Yep.
Just you know what? I'll probably buy a galon and come and paint it with you because it's cool, man. I really like it. It's so eclectic and it's cool. I like it.
And people feel like
we should jam, man.
We should jam. We just
really
have that bass fix. I'm trying to learn the mandolin. I mean, I blame Jimmy Page. Like I
Is that a Gibson mandolin?
No, it's I think it's like
I'm sorry about the ADD guys, but it's
cheap.
Just
squirrel.
It kicks in.
Squirrel.
It's a sweet bass. That's a school bass. It's
12 string. This is a super cheap bass that I bought in one of the stores like over here. So whenever a kid says I want to learn bass, and the parent is like, I don't want to commit to buying a bass, I'm like, here's a bass, and I have like a $45 amp. And they jam at home and I tell them, you can have this until you hang clothes on it. The second you put a sock or a shirt, you bring it back.
Bring it back.
So then when they don't, the parent goes, here's the bass, I'm buying them a bass because now I know that they're using it. I do that with drum kits, guitarra, bajo.
What do you play? I mean, you play bass? Do you play guitar?
Guitar. And a little bit of drums, and I'm learning piano.
Yeah.
But chords, not
multifaceted.
Survival piano. Like
my ADD just does not let me learn things. All right, let's go back.
Okay.
ADD out.
We'll go out again. How long will? So that's
We're on verse 2 now.
Verse 2. How long will you people ruin my reputation? How long will you make groundless accusations? How long will you continue your lies?
Perfect example of social media.
How long will you people ruin my reputation?
Yeah, there you go.
And all it takes is.
I'll tell you what it takes, and and this is a real life example. I'm a Formula One fan.
Yep.
All right, my driver is Max Verstappen. The guy did something really stupid last week in Brazil. Checo Perez is his teammate. For the guys that know Formula One, so. Checo Perez and Max Verstappen, they're racers or drivers of Formula One for the Red Bull racing team. And I'm a big fan of Red Bull because I worked for the brand for several years. And if anybody remembers the car that was raced here in Calle 50 and the Causeway,
I will never forget it.
I bought the car. I brought the car.
Oh, bless your heart.
Me and my team were the ones that brought the car here.
I will never forget that.
So since then, I've been a huge fan. So the thing is, going back to what I wanted to say, is so Max did something really stupid. Checo has been helping him for the past 2 seasons, and Max, up to a certain point, is a champion because of this help that he's been getting from Checo. So something happened. He got a team order. He said, please let Checo by. They were fighting 5th and 6th place, at the 6th or 7th. I'm not too sure. So he was already world champion. And they said, we need you to let Checo by, basically because they needed the points so he doesn't tie for the points with Leclerc, which is a French guy. So he says, we talked about this last summer, and I'm not gonna give him the place. I have my reasons, and please don't ask me again about this. So that sentence or that paragraph that he used was used in social media. I have no idea how many people started hating him. He lost about 150,000 followers on Instagram just because of this. Was it manipulated? Maybe, because there's something more to that story.
Right.
What happened?
Context.
There's context that's missing. What happened to him and Checo for him to decide that. So basically, this guy has become, in 24 hours, the most hated guy on Formula One. And that's why it just matches up as an example for verse 2. you know, and his reputation as a team player, as one of the best racers, drivers in Formula One, is going down the drain in a matter of seconds because of just one click.
Now, do you think it's, well, I know the answer, but do you think it's dangerous for a person to have all of their identity, like the biggest part of who they are, be social media? Like,
it started with Facebook.
Can he still drive?
He can still drive. He's still good. But the thing is, everything that's negative in life multiplies times 7. And I don't even want to know how fast it multiplies nowadays. But everything that is negative, for some reason, and it's always been like this, even before social media. I mean, negative word just goes around so much faster than positive words. Right. And this kid's life, I mean, I don't think his life is ruined, but I think just he's going through a very hard time. And this situation, this 24-hour situation created, you know, friction inside the team, created friction with his fans, created friction, I'm assuming, with his family, because they started messing with his family and everything. In a matter of 24 hours, wow. This kid's life has changed. Can he fix it? Of course he can fix it, but it's not going to take 24 hours.
No, it's going to be a minute. It's going to take a bit.
Yeah.
Wow, incredible. Do you believe that as Christians, we have a bad rep? Like if we're talking about a tweet or a post in social media can wreck you, do you believe that our congregation, our group, our movement, or whatever, it's actually a relationship, but like this whole Christianity, do you think we have a bad rep? Do you find it difficult to talk to people about your relationship with God? Like, what is our bad rep?
I'm careful. I'm careful because I don't want to be hypocritical here, because everybody says, I don't care what other people say. I do care what other people say. Yeah, I mean,
you can't live in a vacuum
either. Come on, man. No, everybody, I don't give a whatever, asterisk, what people say. That's not true. I do care what people say. I do care what people think about me.
Right.
And anybody that says otherwise is lying, you know, because deep down inside, you don't want to be the bad guy. You don't want to be whatever, you know, the poster boy of negativity or something funky and weird. So, I am not embarrassed saying that I'm a Christian, but I'm careful saying, because everybody's a Christian. All of us are Christians.
Right.
I have issues with the Catholic Church, and I'm open about it. I'm not going to go into details.
Right.
But I'm not embarrassed saying that I go to Crossroads Bible Church. I am not. And I always say it's a non-denominational church. If you have to pin it down and put your finger on something that we go by, I would say it's evangelism, you know. But then again, when you use the word evangelism,
that has a whole bunch of baggage.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? And it's just, but it's only reputation. It's only artificial because of a lot of things that's been happening with evangelism in Latin America. For example, when I'm in Germany, I say I'm Catholic, born Roman Catholic, brought up. I went to church, you know, every Sunday. Did I like it? I hated it because it was just so much monotony. But
yeah,
I said I was not going to go into details. So the thing is, it depends. I'm careful about it because they pin you as a, tú sabes, sopla Dios loco, and that's not what we are. We're actually a very cool church.
We are,
and I'm very proud to say I've been here for 20 years. So yeah, to get back to the question, yay and nay.
I think, well, we were talking about that racer. What was his name again? Sorry, I don't know anything.
Max Verstappen.
Max Verstappen. He suffered from, I think it's character defamation, right?
Of course.
Because he didn't say those things. I mean, he said those things. Well,
he did say it, but the thing is,
the context.
There's much more to that.
Right?
There's a background. There's a backstory to that. What's the rest of the story? You know, that's something that social media and mainstream media always do, and they've always done it. They manipulate.
It's clickbait.
And I tell you, I kid you not, I was like, you've lost. I started posting on my Instagram like, you've lost all the respect people had for you in 24 hours, because I was going in a rant. I really went against the guy, honestly, and I said, I'm going to step on you like a roach. And I have about 14,000 followers in my, which is not a lot, but it's more than 1,000. So right. I started bashing him, and one guy comes up to me, a friend of mine, and says, dude, that's not right what you're doing, because you don't know the rest of the story. I'm like, yes, he's right. So I went back but I think still, I do think it's wrong what he did, but it's not. But it's not worth, pounding the guy down. He's already down. So you want to keep on kicking him? Not necessary.
Right. So what I wanted to get to here is, do you believe in the same way this racer is being judged by stuff out of context? Well, in his case, he actually said those things. But do you believe that in Christianity, and I'm including Catholics, Protestants, everybody, Christianity in general, is evaluated by the decisions of some people? Because before God saved my life, I was an atheist. I hated Christian, dude. I went from Catholic to atheist, immediately. No pasé por no cobra 200. I'm like,
why'd you hate them?
Oh my goodness, because they're hypocrites. This is a lie. This is all. I thought all of this was fake. I thought this was wishful thinking. I thought this was this is just this is just another layer of control that the sheeple are following. None of this is true. Come on. God, really? His son? What is he, a single dad? I became a militant atheist. I tried to talk people out of being a Christian because I felt it was, the Las Cruzadas and the destruction of the native population of the Americas, the Inquisition. I could just go on and on. All the things that have been done in the name of your God. And he allows all these rants and all these things. And then God does the thing where he shows up in my life, saves me, shows me God did the thing that guy did to you. He called me out on it. You need to get some context in what you're saying. How can I judge Beethoven's Sixth Symphony as garbage because it's being played by recorders by a fourth grade class? They're destroying the song. They're just butchering it. But that doesn't mean Beethoven's a bad composer. That means the people who are performing it are doing a terrible job at it, or inadequate, or they don't know or the instrument has limitations and whatnot. There are things that I disagreed with the Catholics and the Protestants, and that when I went into Scripture, turns out so does God. Hay vainas que Jesús dijo, no hagan esto, and we do that. Hay vainas que Jesús dijo, you need to treat people with respect. You need to I didn't come here to judge you. You shouldn't judge people. And we do that. Not we. Our movement has done that. And we have to own up to that. There's things that have been done wrong in the name of Jesus Christ. Mi profesor de historia de la iglesia afroamericana me dice, the same Bible that we have is the Bible that Ku Klux Klan has. How is that possible? It's the same Bible. How can they be reading that Bible and thinking that we are what they think we are? And how can we be reading this Bible and think we need to be all together? So the Bible's actually reading you. En qué cabeza cabe, we're going to go to Jerusalem and butcher a bunch of people so that they be... En ningún lugar dice eso, man. There's no... So I think the Bible and Jesus Christ has an issue with character defamation. Jesus is not that guy. Jesus is not a megalomaniac, an evil, brutal dictator. It's... You know what I mean? And people don't know that. And then you ask these people, when you would ask me, so have you read the Bible? I've never read the Bible. I've only heard sermons.
I just think that the human race is just full of ignorance.
Oh, my goodness.
It's just full of ignorance. And I have to say that I include myself in the bunch. I ignore a lot of things, but I love learning. And I think just we're very fast judgers, ignoring a lot of things.
Right.
And I think that we should be more patient, more understanding in regards to listening and wanting to learn what's behind the scenes of each opinion.
Right. We got to know the person. They got to meet, people would look at me. I used to have a much bigger beard. I used to have earrings. I used to dress in black all the time. I'm in hot pink right now. I used to dress in black all the time. And people immediately thought este man es un satanista, este man mínimo tiene like blood in his house.
I mean, look at me.
And it's like, you don't know me.
People judge me because of my tattoos. I love my tattoos. Am I going to get more ink? Hell yeah. I love tattooing myself. I mean, it's because everything has... The thing is, going back to judging, I was judged so many times. I've been tattooed for... I went crazy when I was like 40. I just...
Midlife crisis?
Yeah, because I said I really want people to see the true me.
Okay.
I've had tattoos since I've been 18, but I had like one or two, and I just started tattooing myself when I had the bar. You know, I was playing music and rock and roll and all this stuff. But I was wise enough to tattoo myself with things that had a real meaning in my life.
Right.
I have issues. People have judged me as a Nazi, for example, because I'm German and I have a tattoo on my right forearm that basically represents my grandfather. My grandfather was a Nazi soldier, not by choice.
Right.
You know, but he was a Nazi soldier, and he was called a Nazi. And there's another example, but you did not know the man.
Right.
You can't say, I'm going to kill that dude because he's a Nazi, and you have no idea how many soldiers died, okay, during this World War II era,
right,
that did not want to be there.
The first people oppressed by the Nazis were the German people.
Yep.
Like, that was the first victim, the German people. The camps were first filled with political dissidents.
Yeah, that did not want that.
But then, like you said, you say Nazi, and I immediately know that people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah,
like, este man.
It's one of the harshest words in the world,
and with reason. I understand. We are not trying to say that horrible things weren't done. 100%, 100%. But like, that's where the opportunity comes to. So, what's your story? Let me get to know you a little bit more.
Yeah.
What happened? Like, but if I immediately like stop talking, I already know who you are. I don't want to hear anymore. You're in this category.
That's unfair.
That happens with tattoos. That happens with Christianity. That happens with music choices. That happens with long hair. Mi tiempo era pelo largo is the worst. Somebody knocking the door?
I think so. Okay.
It's
gone.
Okay. That happens with long hair. That happens with, como te ven te juzgan. And it's a thing that happens with Christianity. Have things been done in the name of Jesus Christ that are horrible atrocities? Yeah. Yeah. History is plagued with them. And the first one to be upset about that is Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't say you guys needed to do any of those things. Like, have you read what happened? Like, and that's why I like this. How long will you people ruin my reputation? It's not just yours because you have tattoos, because your grandfather fought in the German army, because you worked in a bar, because maybe you're not the best spoken person in the world, me because I used to be an atheist, me because I used to do drugs and alcohol and ponchera y locura and all that, me because I used to like blah, blah, blah. It's also the church. We are, by association, mixed with a bunch of people that are up to no good, man. Like, and that's difficult to come to terms with. That's why I love this church and the idea of we gotta go to the Bible. I remember Steve telling me the name Bible is in the title of in the name of our building. Mm-hmm. So whenever you preach, you gotta go to the Bible, because you, Jorge, have nothing good to say. I have nothing good to say. It's God.
Yeah.
So we do live in an age of. My sister lives in Norway. Esos manes no quieren saber nada de Dios.
A lot of Europeans don't.
Pero I never saw it as, porque para ellos Christianity was imposed and destroyed their tradition of like Nordic gods and stuff like that. And there are people who are like, por eso queman iglesia. Every once in a while, there's a church that's being burned by, like black metal, Citos Pandas, and so for them it's a matter of cultural heritage. Their paganism was cultural heritage, and how could you call it paganism? It's our system. So it's a difficult thing to try to explain to them. I think there is a place where we can go and evangelize in Europe. I'm talking to a dude for us to go to England and bring like a team, como si fuéramos a Irán, of missionaries to Europe to fix the image of Jesus Christ and to point people to like every problem you have with the church, so does God. Like, it's in the Bible. Like, that's why I love that the Bible is very critical of Christianity. Jesus never said one thing bad against the Romans, and the Romans made the Nazis look like pampers. The Romans, they won for centuries. There were roads that were filled with like dead people, women, children, babies, horrendous atrocities.
Like trophies.
Jesus doesn't say a single bad word about them. He just says, give to them what they want. Con los que sí se mete un montón is with us, with religious people. No nos suelta. He doesn't let go of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. He messes with us more than other people. So, yes, we need to fix the image of Christianity based on the truth of the Bible. So that I can proudly say, like, you know what? I'm a believer. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. He saved my life. Oh, tú eres un sopla Dios. Tú eres un aleluya, aleluya. Like, but let me tell you a little bit about that. Can I tell you a little bit about that? Like, let's have a conversation. Let me explain to you like where I come from, like, and that I don't think I'm better than you. I don't think I have all the answers. I'm a broken person, man. Like, this is not a what do they call it? This is not a museum for saints. This is a church, a hospital for broken people que llegan desangrados espiritualmente, and it's, I don't know. I like it.
And actually, that's actually the cool part. That's actually the cool part. You have no idea how cool it is to help people.
Oh my goodness.
It's I'm going to give kind of, I think it's a weird way of analyzing it, but I'll keep it short. But when I had the bar, I didn't really have the bar because I liked, well, I did, but I had the bar because I love loud music. I had the bar because I don't drink. I'm completely zero alcohol. I did all the other stuff. But I loved the bar because there was a love and hate relationship. But one of the things that I loved was me giving something to people in regards to service that they enjoyed. And when they left that place and said, I've had the best experience of my life here, that's something that I like. When I come here, when I talk to you, when I come to church, when we come to the ¿cómo se llama? To the cultos, los domingos. It's on Sundays. It's really soothing, and that's what I'm receiving from the community in church, and that's what I was trying to give my clients. And I know it's a stupid analogy, but it's just helping people overcome, even if it's for an hour. That hour adds up much more than the rest of the 23 hours that you're going to have in your life.
Were you at the bar?
I was always at the bar.
So you're a therapist. I mean,
listen. I was a shrink.
Yeah.
I was at the bar, and people would come in. I mean, sober people, and would come in, and I know things that
delicate things.
Oh my God, and people that everybody knows. I mean, I had politicians there. I had
There's a special relationship.
I had people from this church go to the bar and talk to me, and I felt like Steve at a certain point. I said, dude, I'm not your guy, but look, I can listen, But again, even though the analogy is really weird, giving back, listening to people, giving them a great service, the atmosphere was amazing. And for those 30 minutes to 60 minutes that they were there, I did something for them and for that little amount of time, that little window of space could have been life-changing. And that's one of the positive things that I saw in that. And that's one of the positive things that I've always seen in this church. I mean, I hated going to Catholic church. I hated going to the Santuario. I hated going to Guadalupe. When I came here, I was like, this is the place.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, important question. Everywhere in Psalms, there's these Selah moments, interlude. I think they're guitar solos. Like, I'm kind of joking, but hey, because it's supposed to be, we looked it up. We have Mrs. Harrell here, and we talked about it's a moment of reflection of what you just heard. So we were just listening to Freebird in my class, and that super crazy solo at the end of Freebird. I told the kids that is the last verse of Freebird because it sounds like a solo, but I feel like it tells a story. Like even the way the music grows and goes down and crescendos and goes up and down, it's part of the story of the craziness of the guy, whatever. I was told, and people have argued to the fact that the interlude, that Selah, is a moment of what we're doing right now, reflecting, thinking about it, just contemplating. What do you think it is, those Selah moments in the Bible, in Psalms?
I have no idea.
Good answer. I like that answer.
I have no idea. Honestly, I have no idea because, like I told you in the beginning, I am not a good example of somebody who's gone into the Bible and has tried to really analyze and understand. I'm learning about it now, and I think I'm going to be learning about it a little bit more if we're going to keep on doing these podcasts.
I would love to have you more because I think...
Sorry for being so honest.
No, please. Come on, man. Like, that's what we need. We need transparency. We need honesty. We need brokenness.
I'm not going to lie here.
No, man. Yeah. So that when God does the thing and somebody says to you one day, dude, I heard you that podcast and I totally identify with you. I want to consume whatever is making you happy. You're going to go like, Frank, it wasn't me. Like, people come up to me like, George, that sermon was great. I'm like, man, you don't even know who I am, dude. Like, that's that guy. Yeah. Es una porquería. I'm a broken vessel and he's doing the thing. So, yeah. So as you now maybe leave this place with like, I gotta know my product a little bit more. Yeah. So that when they ask me technical, like, how well do you know your Formula 1 rig at home?
Oh, the sim?
The sim.
Dude, I know it from A to Z.
Because it's broken. Stuff doesn't work. You've had to fix it. Do you manual? Do you like go through manuals and stuff?
Not anymore.
But at the beginning, you had to.
I had to.
So you know your stuff.
Yeah.
So if I asked you to help me set up one of those in my house, you would help me. You would help me skip a whole bunch of unnecessary steps that you probably took.
But I wouldn't let you, though.
You would let me skip.
I wouldn't let you skip because it's not about me doing it for you.
Okay.
It's not about me. It's not about me doing it for you, and that's one of the things that I really, when I ask for help, it doesn't mean do it for me.
Nice. I like
okay. I wouldn't let you skip. I would tell you this. This is the way you have to do it. Let's analyze. I want you to think. Usa tu lógica. If you're a technical person, you're probably going to get it. If you're not a technical person, then hey, you're going to be learning. But no, I wouldn't do it for you. I would help you do it yourself.
So let's land that on this. Like the same thing with spending time with God in not just prayer, but like in actually reading the Bible. There is a moment where you're going to have to discipline yourself to do it. Like you're going to have to find the time to do it. And it's going to become a habit, and your day's going to suck when you don't do it. Like if I don't do my devotional time, and I'm not talking about just checking off a thing. I'm talking about like, all right, what does this mean? What is God trying? If this book has every single letter in jota y tilde that's necessary, why is he saying this right here? And I try to do one chapter a day. And if I don't know something, at the beginning I would look online, or I would talk to Steve, or I would talk to someone. So you leave here with I want to know my book. My recommendation, start with Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes una ponchera. And I landed on Ecclesiastes from atheism, coming from watching The Godfather. I'm not Godfather, Scarface. Mm-hmm. Scarface, I love that movie. It's messed up. I don't recommend it. It's not biblical. It's not canon, but it's incredible because it
is a crazy movie.
Oh my goodness, so many quotable lines that I cannot quote, that I will quote after this is over. So many, man. But that moment in my atheism that got my head was, is this it? Like when he got Sosa, when he got the yayo, when he got the girl, when he got everything, he has everything. He's in that restaurant. He's like, is this it? You do this, you do that. What now? And it was like, and then I come to Ecclesiastes, and Ecclesiastes is Solomon saying, is this it?
Yeah.
700 women. He could have had sex every day for 2 years with a different person.
Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned that because in a certain way, I've been everywhere. And I've had everything that I wanted.
Right.
I've never been rich, but I've had a lot of money. I've been there. I know what it is. I know what it is to buy anything you want at your range of income. And I've had, pretty decent income. But I think that God, and this is something that is touched in this church every week, the only person that is in control is him.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that he put me in the position I am now, which I've been really... I've been struggling for the past 3 years. After pandemic, I closed the bar. Lost my real estate brokerage license, which was a dirty move, but I lost it, and I was basically jobless. I fell into depression.
Wow.
But everything has a reason. when I had money, I was a prick. And I'm not saying this was 20 years ago. This was 10 years ago, maybe 7. I was doing well in real estate. The bar was rolling, and I was misbehaving. I was coming to church, and I was like being a hypocrite to myself.
Wow.
And I talked to Steve about this, and I talked to Bob, rest in peace. I used to talk to Bob a lot.
Bob was the man.
Yeah, because he was the one who said, "You're my black sheep." I remember that we were in I think it was Chame, in one of the retreats that I went to with my kids, and he's like, "Danny, you're so authentic, man, but you're my black sheep," and I had a great relationship with him. So the thing is, God put me in this place, I think, just to humble myself and to understand that, like you said, is this it? I've had everything,
And were you super happy when you had everything?
No. I had Corvette. I had a Harley that cost, a lot of money. The Corvette. I had, everything that I could have wanted as a kid. I remember I told my dad when I was in my 20s, like, when I'm 40, I'm going to have a Corvette. And I had that red Corvette. And I think those were the most unhappiest days of my life, when I had everything.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because I was not happy with myself, with my inner self. Now I'm broke. Yeah. Am I recovering? I hope so. But I'm happy.
Isn't that crazy?
I'm happy. I mean, I couldn't start explaining why and how I'm happy. Do I struggle with depression? Yes, I do. I'm a patient.
Work in progress.
I'm a patient. I'm a work in progress. But I've gone through procrastination, severe procrastination, not getting things done, saying I'm going to do them, not doing them. Obviously, I've had a lot of support from my wife. But I kid you not, I think this just God has put me in this place because there's something that He needed to tweak in me, and maybe there's still more to come that I'm not going to be seeing. And there's a lot of things I always say to my kids, like, you're going through crap right now, and you don't really have to understand. You don't really have to explain it to yourself right now. Just accept it. One day, it could be in a day, it could be in a week, it could be in a year. You're going to say, that's why this is happening. That's the way I see it. And I think all the things that I'm going through right now, it's just God working in me to humble myself a little bit more, because I was a prick. I think I'm still kind of like a más o menos pricky, but I'm a good guy. I love helping. I just, sometimes you click, and it sucks. I don't like to be that way sometimes, because I am still. But I mean, to no level of what I used to be.
But it's interesting because we say there was a guy once upon a time that was so poor that all he had was money.
I remember that, and I remember that I was working in Spain. That's a good thing that you mentioned it, because my first encounter with God, that kind of like I'm like, what's going on here? I used to work in Spain with a buddy of mine, Jerry Alfaya. He owned a company called Astra Petrol, and I was a hydrocarbons broker. It was kind of my golden years of, I was making so much money back then. And I was a kid. I was 27 years old, and I had a ton of money in the bank, and I didn't know how to use it, and I spent it all and blah blah blah. And I remember that in his desk he had this wooden little letrerito that I think that his wife gave him because they were having conflicts, and he was a millionaire, and I remember they had a fight, and she sent him, because I used to live with him in Spain in the apartment before I moved out, and I remember that they were having an argument, and she came back and she gave him this, and it says, what was it that you said? The millionaire has. It was exactly the same quote.
So poor that all he had was money.
Exacto. You're so poor that the only thing you have is money. And I remember that, and I was like, whoa, that's deep, bro. That is deep. And yes, and it's true. It's true. So if you're poor and if you're struggling, hey, embrace it. Time will change. I'm not saying you should sit down, relax. But hey, if you're, el que madruga, Dios lo ayuda.
Yeah, and success is not just always money.
No, not at all. No, not at all.
There are a bunch of unsuccessful rich people.
Oh yeah.
Unfulfilled, lonely, and there are people that are living in Marañón with a tin roof.
They're
like,
super happy.
Joy. It's just joy.
Yeah.
What are we gonna eat tomorrow? I don't know. You know, like it's totally a thing. And people who've never experienced the level of success you've experienced think like, bull. That's not true. You're saying that because you were, but I think it was a gift that God gave you to experience knowing that money doesn't equal happiness.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Because it's fun for a little while. I'm sure there were moments where you're like, this is pretty cool. But then it's the next day. Then it's the next day.
And then you start saying, is this it?
Is this it? Dude, that is so good. That is such a good thing, because to hear Al Pacino deliver that after all he did to get to where he got to, thinking once I get this, I'm going to be happy, and then realizing, oh my goodness, they just gave me all the cheats to Age of Empires. I don't want to play this game anymore. I'm done.
Listen, Robin Williams.
Oh my goodness.
Robin Williams.
He
had everything. And the saddest thing about Robin Williams is that we never knew the real Robin Williams.
It was a mask.
It was a mask. And this dude was hurting so much and nobody knew it. And that's why I always say, if you're a dude, and if you're a woman too, but dudes, you know, men struggle more with this. If you're having problems, man, just step up and talk.
Seek help.
Open up your mouth. Just rip it wide open and say, hey, I'm struggling, I'm hurting, you know, cry.
I'm going to put my contact if you want to, and yours if you want. If anybody hears this and you're dealing with mental health stuff, if you're having like symptoms, you don't want to wake up from bed.
Come over here, talk to us. We
will talk. We will listen. We will talk and we will listen, because it's mental health is a thing. My wife struggled with it. When my daughter was born, I went through a really bad moment of panic attacks. Iron Man 3 for me was like, oh my goodness, this happens to people. When Tony was starting, like, I think I'm having I went to the ER a few times thinking, me voy a morir. This is it, I'm going to die. And the doctor would say, you have nothing, you're fine. And then they looked at my role and I was like, Pastor. And he said, where's your God? Y entonces, tú no eres pastor.
Yeah, that's so sad. That's so bad.
It was a horrible thing for him to say.
That's a bully comment.
It's totally messed up, and it shows where his heart was. But at the same time, it served me to go like, you know what? There's some truth in that garbage. Like in that pile of dirt, there's a nugget of truth. I need to rest in God. I know intellectually, but I need to start. Dude, Danny, I beg God for strength in the morning. I say, Señor, por favor, papá, dame la fuerza. Yo sé que tú me vas a tirar curvas, but help me to see them coming. Give me whatever you need me to have to do what you're asking me to do. Give me the tools, give me the creativity, give me the patience, give me whatever it is to do. Don't take it away, because there's a purpose for it, but help me navigate through it. Like, dame el cinturón de seguridad, dame la espada, dame whatever I need to do it, because I need to be a living consumer. Like, I can't sell hair growth products to you because I'm freaking bald. Like, if I tell you, like, I got this product, it's great, you're going to have a big mane of hair, and I'm like this, you're like, get out of my face. But if I have a hairline that starts here, y se me sale el cabello por acá, you're going to be like, you're going to come to me, dude, what are you using? What's that product? So when my mother has a seizure and I'm filled with joy, when my wife has a back injury when she gave birth and I'm trying to be filled with joy, people want to know, what are you consuming? So it's a thing that people are looking at you. Like we speak more to, so non-believers don't read the Bible, non-believers read us, the way we live our lives. And that's why we have to be pegados a la palabra, pegados a la Biblia, like reading about it, not just out of duty, but out of like, I want to see what the boss has to say and confront the apparent contradictions of the Bible. There aren't any. Like, gracias a Dios, estoy terminando mis estudios de biblical studies at college, and there's a lot of things that I thought were contradictions that are not. There's a lot of basic biblical questions that have super clear answers. Esa vaina de que ¿qué vino antes de Dios? That's a classic. Si Dios no hizo, ¿qué vino antes de Dios? What do you think?
I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and we had that topic come up. It's not an easy one, and I'm gonna go against the grain now. Mm-hmm. Science is there. Science is proof. Religion doesn't have all that much of a proof, so it's you have to simply believe and have faith. And because everybody says like, well, this book was written by men, You know, who was Jesus and what was before Jesus, what was before God. So they, you know, he made us out of dirt, you know, and he made Eve out of una costilla de Adán. So I can't explain those things. I really don't go into those things because I'm not an expert in that. Mm-hmm. I think for me, the most important thing is to understand that there is a higher power. I have to respect that higher power. I call it God. I call it Jesus. I call it Father. I would never go into explaining it because I am weak in regards to my knowledge. I ignore a lot of things. And I think that for me, this is me speaking, just trying to be as good as I can be and respectful to everybody that I know, loving to my family. That's the more important things to me. But going back to what you asked, I've had these conversations, and I don't really like to go in too deep because I wouldn't know what to explain. Because I ask that myself sometimes. ¿Qué pasaba antes de Dios? O sea, dinosaurs. So God put the dinosaurs there. I don't know how to answer that question. So las primeras amebas las puso Dios. I don't know, because it was supposed to be Adam and Eve, but where did Adam and Eve come in with the dinosaurs? Were they before? And what about the cavemen and all that? So it starts getting distorted. I'm like, I don't want to touch that tema.
Right.
And why? I'm going to be very honest, because it scares me. It scares me. And that question that you just asked, what happened before God?
I love it. I love it. I love it because, acuérdate, yo vine de nada. I came from, there is nothing. And I had pastors come to my house, like, they tried to do the apologetics game on me. Yeah. Like, if you have morals, and those morals are because todo el trip apologetic. And I'm like, you can tell me whatever you want. No, there's nothing. You serve an imaginary being. When you die, nothing happens. Nothing. We're just matter and time. And I went there. So when God did this supernatural thing, like, I became a believer because I went on a mission. Did I ever tell you that story? I went on a mission trip as a translator into Cunayala.
No.
So I went to Cunayala as a translator, being an atheist. I'd been sober for a year. Now I know that it was God, but I had stopped drinking for a year. I learned French. I'm sorry. It was German or French. I almost took German. I've been wanting to learn German all my life. But French, I figured I could, like, get jobs in other places. So I learned French for 2 years to stop drinking. I stopped drinking. My sister goes, Frei, vamos pa Cunayala. I'm like, no, I'm not going to go with a bunch of Flanders. They're going to be trying to make me a Christian, dude. En toda esa semana, esos manes nunca trataron de convertirme a cristiano. They never pushed their Kool-Aid on me. And that's what I would say. Like, they never pushed.
Is that the common denominator, though?
No. God did this just for me. That's why I love him, because he knew any other combination of things would have been, if any of them would have gone to me like, you know, you're a sinner, and I would have gone like, get out of my face with this nonsense.
Yeah, because that's one of the problems that we have with Christianity and
right.
evangelism.
Right.
Is that you have a whole lot of recruiters.
Right.
And it's not recruiting, it's the way they recruit.
And we're not supposed to recruit. We're supposed to make disciples. And disciple making requires first me having a relationship with you. If I know you are struggling with drugs, with alcohol, with women, lo que sea, the approach I should have is, what's your favorite soccer team? Who do you think is going to win the World Cup, dude? What's your favorite movie? You want to have a coffee? Vamos a ir, pues. What are you into? Like, I need to find common ground. Yeah. And eventually earn the right to be heard. But if I come to you like I'm trying to sell you like a phone plan,
it's not going to work.
Never works.
No.
Estos manes llegan, they don't try to sell me anything, but they live in a way that I'm like, oh my goodness, these people really believe the crap they say they believe.
I have no idea how some churches actually, I don't want to be naming names. I should, but I'm not. I don't know how some groups, religious groups, let me put it that way, actually have armies of recruiters. Dude, if I see one of those dudes today walk into my door, I'm not going to open up the door because I'm not interested. It's about what you just said before. We have to be the example for other people to say, hey, I want to have that guy's life. What the hell is he doing? You know? And, for example, my wife, I brought her to church, and she's been super, super dedicated.
Me consta, 100%.
She's been super dedicated. And I've seen the change in her. and I kid you not, if my wife would not be as involved with God, I wouldn't have a wife. After all I've been through, and after all I've put her through. So those are the examples that we have to show people, not going knocking on doors and say, hey, what's up, buddy? You want to hear the word? I mean, no, I want you to see what we're living, so you say, I want that life.
Right.
And that's just leading by example.
I mean, at some point you're going to have to speak to people, and I know that for some people they just don't know, but we need to change. We need to look for better strategies to accomplish.
It can't be a salesman pitch.
No, because we're at the I don't know. I've never studied business, but like the strategy viene from the mandate. So what is our mission? Make disciples. That word was picked specifically for a reason. If you're a katana maker, your disciple is a guy who has seen your product, who admires you, y que te limpia el sudor cuando estás haciendo la katana, because he wants to one day have your place and he looks up to you. And to be that guy, there were other people trying to be that guy too. So disciple is, I have to have a relationship. It's not telling people they're going to go to hell. It's not being right.
If they don't, blah blah blah.
And they will, but so will. It's not about winning an argument. It's about creating a relationship. It's being strategic about, man, would you like to have a coffee? Would you want to? Vamos a un partido mundial, boy. Vamos para allá. Get to know me, man. Get to know who I am. Let me open my door to my life. I've had people come over for dinner. They see my wife. They see my kid. El desastre que hay allá porque hay un montón de peladitas en mi casa. Like, and then it's like, oh, this is an actual person. He's not trying to sell me a vacuum cleaner because they go, have you tried the Hoover, whatever? No. Like, have you? And I understand that the heart behind that is, for some people, it is legitimate, but we need to upgrade the methodology. You know, like we need to figure out how to build a relationship to get that right to be heard. So going way back, we should call this show Rabbit Trails because we go on so many rabbit trails. Going back to the thing about what came before God, I had to ask, like before I signed on, I came back from that mission trip. I cried the tears of 30-something years.
You sound like Kanye West.
Oh my goodness. I'm not even going to go there. Because we said Nazis in this podcast and we can't even. So I cried the tears of whatever. I said like, all right, I give up. It wasn't even like, I'm in. I said, I give up. Whatever. Let's do this. So I go to church and there's a bunch of people levantando las manos. I'm like, God, this is uncomfortable. This is awkward. But I know what I felt. I know what I know. And I'll continue going. I ended up coming up to this church and that transformed everything because it was very biblical. Like there was an environment for questions. I took a missions class with Bob, which was incredible. A Bob yo le exprimí. Like I asked him everything. Like, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? Y Bob me soltaba cosas. And I used to watch a lot of Neil deGrasse Tyson. I used to read a lot of like Stephen Hawking. And there is a point when our faith gets metaphysical. Like there's a metaphysical component to this. So if God created time and space, we can't ask what came before God because the word, oh my goodness, the Bible just started. If God created time and space, to ask what came before God is an inappropriate question because the word before is a construct of time. Before exists, before, after, during, all these words are stuck in the bubble of time and God exists outside that bubble. So nothing came before God because God existed outside of the construct of time. And I can't process that because I'm stuck in this ocean of time. Like a fish can't understand why we live here. Like the two-dimensional character can't see the third dimensional, how we can't see the fourth. We are stuck in this situation, in this reality, and for us to try to understand what it is to be outside of that is impossible. It's playing Angry Birds on a Nokia from 1996. It doesn't work. You cannot do it. We don't have the computer, and that's why God talks to us like babies, because the answers, like, he's trying to water it down so we can kind of understand it. Because if we were to be given the actual answer, we wouldn't have the capacity to understand it. When I read Revelations, and John is describing a bunch of objects and diamonds, and Pobrecito, man. He's trying to describe. Imagine bringing Christopher Columbus to Times Square in 1490s words, there are gigantic visions floating in space, a multitude of people who are speaking into rectangles, and they're bent forward. He would use the best words that he could to describe. So to take a guy like John to heaven, pobrecito, he's not a poet. He's a poor guy. So he's trying to describe things the very best way he can, a metaphysical, a supernatural occurrence. So I like that question. I like those kinds of questions because the answers get into the philosophical. And it's in philosophy, there's a room for I don't know. I don't have any idea. And at the edge of science, there's so many question marks. Like the whole Darwin thing breaks at the cell level because he had no access to cells. The cell is a factory. What ¿Qué zapato hace que that a molecule transports this thing? It's a little tiny little factory. I heard somebody say it's like finding a 7-Eleven in the middle of the Sahara Desert. Working air conditioning, everything is fine, and you're thinking, no, lo que pasa es que la arena se pegó, and over time it created molecules of concrete, and then it created like sandwiches, and it created flurries. No, dude, somebody built that thing there. We're standing in a bubble of life in the middle of death. And the conditions here are perfect, suspiciously perfect. There's code in our DNA. There's so many traces of us being created, and that's it. I mean, there is science. What happened with what about the fossil record? Esa otra que fossil record. Eso no está en la Biblia. Mm-hmm. What about all those animals? Like, I wasn't here. I don't know. Like, I don't know what happened. Like, if I go into your house and your hands are filled with blood and you're holding a knife and there's a dead dog, I could say, este man apuñaló ese perro. Or what if a robber came in, the dog tried to save you, and the blood is in yours as the robber? I wasn't there. All I have is circumstantial evidence on what happened and best guesses. Mm. And science only gives us, and bless their heart, man, the best the guess they have with the information they have. But science keeps changing their mind every 150 years about everything.
Yeah.
200 years ago, we're never going to fly. It's never going to happen. We will never, boom. We're never going to invent anything else. Rock bands are gone. Like, we make these humongous claims that we got it all figured out. Dude, we're finding stuff in the subatomic world that doesn't make any sense, that violates science. The minute you see the spin on a particle, you can't see its momentum. And when one thing, quantum entanglement, we are filled with questions. So we live in a world that exists on a whole bunch of impossible things. So what this idea of Christianity asks is just, it's on brand. Like, it's on brand with we don't know. We think we know because we know a whole bunch of things, but we don't know a whole bunch of things. We can't, if we are the product of time plus matter, then do it. Do it. Agarra todos esos aminoácidos, agarra todas esas proteínas, and do it. Do it. Recreate it. You can't do it because we're something else. Nosotros somos otra vaina, man. I'm not talking about humans. Plants. Every living organism on this fishbowl that we live in is incredibly special because we still haven't found anybody else. Now we could put our tinfoil hats, y hablar de que there's other, like, whatever, but like so far we haven't. There's something going on, and it's, I don't know, and it's different for different people, but for me it was like it was like a revelation. It all just made sense. Oh my goodness, this thing.
Do you believe we're the only human beings in the universe? I doubt it.
There's this movie that I'm going to spoil about this station. It's with Tommy Lee Jones. They go to the edge of the solar system to try to find life, and they broadcast and broadcast and broadcast. And
is it a new movie?
No, it's kind of old.
Okay.
And the guy stops transmitting back to Earth, and they send I think it's Brad Pitt to go see him.
Oh yeah, I remember that movie.
And what freaked him out wasn't that he found something. What freaked him out was that after all those years, there's nothing. Is it possible that there's a bunch of other civilizations out there? Yeah, the math checks out 100%. But there's also the other possibility, which is more terrifying, is that what if we're alone? It's not impossible. It's unlikely that we are, but it's not impossible. It's very unlikely that we are.
And you attribute that to God?
No, I attribute that to math. Like, there's no 100%. In science, they always leave a room for, we don't know. Mm-hmm. It's unlikely. Like, there is a high probability, and they're very careful when they say that. There's a high probability that there's intelligent life out there. But nobody will sign saying there's 100% probability. It's very unlikely that we're alone. It's very unlikely that it's all us, but it's not impossible. Now, how does that play? Like, if I see a spaceship coming into New York and like, let's be friends, whatever, and turns out there are other civilizations, how does that mess up with your faith? Are you going to go like, esta vaina es mentira? Like, or how would you deal with that if there's a spaceship and like, does that mess you up?
If that happens?
Yeah, and they're like, oh, you people believe in Jesus? Actually, we found nothing. Like, but that'll exist in what ifs. I am working with the data that I have right now, and I will reevaluate everything when the time comes. But as far as we have right now, with the data we have right now, that's it. It's us. Because where are they? And
exactly. That's a good way to put it. I mean, I doubt that we're alone. But if you ask me today, are we alone? I say, well, there's evidence that there is other people, but where are they? It hasn't been 10 years, it hasn't been 30 years, it hasn't been 50 years of study. It's been, a little bit more than that. And in 100 years, we haven't had any visitations that, there's a lot of apparent proof.
Right.
But I don't know. I think I don't really think we're alone. But I'm curious to know if there is more.
Yeah, of course. We all are. I want us to go to Mars. I want us to get out of this planet.
Elon Musk is going to get that done.
Yeah, man. So the book Foundation by Isaac Asimov. I'm reading the series. Voy por el segundo libro. And this thing moves in the spans of thousands and thousands of years. De que un capítulo, 10,000 years pass, 100,000 years pass. Like, super fast. And they work on a possible future where we are alone and we are the only ones that colonize the entire everything. It took 14 billion years for life to actually happen. And what if we are the first? It's insane to think that, but what if we are? We don't know that. It's unlikely. But you know what?
I don't know about that.
It's very unlikely that it's only us.
It's just the way we've been developing, evolutionizing. If that's
you can use evolving.
Evolving.
It's not a dirty word.
I think that it's we're like on level 1. I think if there is more, I hope they're better than us. Because I don't look, this is a rabbit hole, but the way the direction we're going right now, I don't know, man. One of the biggest problems in the world is the birth percentage.
We're 8 billion. We just hit 8 billion.
Yeah, but people don't want to have kids. The newborn percentage in Europe right now, the average is 2%.
Wow,
it's really low.
That's not enough to hold up the social system.
No, and that's one of the problems that we're dealing with. Humanity is getting old. And it's not working out. But then again, you start seeing the way we are, moving away from God and focusing on, this egoistic lifestyle regards to politics. It's become and I'm going to be very blunt about it, it's become a pissing contest between politicians.
Right.
And nowadays, for example, you have governments that are not, and I'm going in this direction because I have a point to make.
Yeah.
We're so far away from what God represents that we're just focusing on our own well-being. We are the world is focusing on a lot in what this has to say for us.
Mm-hmm.
And what scares me is that before, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, even during the Cold War, where we thought that we were a click away, nuclear war was.
It was close.
It was close, but it wasn't as close as it is now.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Why? Because before there was a group of people deciding on what to do. Nowadays, it only takes one man to press a button and make a big mistake.
And Danny, have you had a bad day where you press a button in your life?
And I've screwed it completely up?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You've gone nuclear. Like, I've gone nuclear. Like,
But that's not the type of nuclear that I'm worried about.
It's the actual nuclear.
It's the actual nuclear, because it would be the end. So what I'm trying to say is that the direction we're going in, and just like moving away from God and that spiritualism that we should embrace, we're going into a pissing contest. And I'm sorry for my French, but it is that way. And society is become a complete pissing contest, and it's sad. And I'm worried about it. And that's why a lot of people in Europe don't want to have kids, because the first thing they say is like, I don't want to bring kids into this world. Just look at this.
Right.
And I can understand it.
I understand that too.
I understand it perfectly. Is it good, though? That's a good question. That's a good question for Jordan Peterson. He can probably... I'm a great follower of everything that he's a great thinker, and he's a great psychologist, and he's a very, very, very wise man. And he does say that one of the biggest problems we are facing right now in the world is people just, focusing on not having kids. And we're not rotating the inventory. The inventory is getting old, and it's running out.
You remember that movie Idiocracy?
No.
It's a movie where
I've never seen a movie with that title.
It's hilarious. It's a guy that he gets recruited for a time experiment, and he sleeps through like 1,000 years, and he wakes up in a future where, because the smart people wouldn't reproduce, the world is run by idiots.
Yeah.
So they show two couples, like a guy somewhere in the southern United States and a very smart couple. And the smart couple is like, we're waiting for the right time. Not in this economy. We can't have kids. And they have their like super high IQs. And they show the redneck guy. He's on his 15th kid with the third lady. So we removed all the intelligence outside of the gene pool, and all we have is, dumb people that rule the world. And we forget how plants work. It's like WALL-E. We forget how to run everything because we've automated everything. So, yeah. Okay, let me finish this. Okay, offer sacrifices in the right spirit. See, like, this is the stuff that I want to talk to you, like, in depth. We need a longer podcast. Offer sacrifices in the right spirit and trust the Lord. We could just skip over that, but do you understand the whole why we had to sacrifice stuff in the Old Testament? Like...
Which sacrifice?
The sacrificial system. Like, you killed a guy, okay, you got to kill a dove, you got to kill the thing. Do you know why?
Not really.
Because people would ask me, like, one of the questions I asked, so if God is all powerful and he's almighty, why do you want me to kill a goat? That's kind of petty. Like, why kill a goat? Why?
I guess that's a way to prove your faith and your trust in God.
So it turns out that everything has, like, if you go to a really fancy restaurant, everything has a price. Like, depending on the amount of ingredients, how much it costs, the procedures, blah, blah, blah. The price, according to Romans, the price for sin is death. So every time you look at a woman in lust, you're supposed to die. Every time you kill somebody in traffic because you're angry, you're supposed to die, because it's a transgression. It's something that doesn't go with what God wants, and the price for all those things are death. If you accumulate that, I should die infinitely more times than I have lives for. God creates a system where you pay the minimum payment on that. So the idea of animals was a form of atonement. It was a form of, like, paying interest on an impossible capital debt that I had. Mm-hmm. A goat 3,000 years ago isn't what a goat is now. A goat is like an animal. What I want you to pay right now is, give me your cell phone and break it. Wow, that was hard. That's sacrifice. That's like, you know what? I did you wrong. let me pay you in spices.
Yeah.
Let me clean your yard. Let me do something. So
killing a goat was that?
It was that.
No.
It was interest on an impossible loan to pay. That's why we don't do it anymore. Because what Jesus did, he paid completely.
I'd kill 5 goats today if I had to.
Oh my goodness. Just today.
Yeah.
Just today. Like, my thoughts, my mind, my heart, like, I do this with the kids. I tell them, like, who has sinned in 2022? Everybody raises their hand. Leave your hand up if you've sinned in the month of November. What about this week? What about today? Nobody puts their hands down, the whole thing. And I told them, if anybody puts your hands down, you can add lying to that. Everybody here is una porquería. Everybody here is broken. Everybody. Steve, your mom, my mom, your wife, you, everybody. We're all in the same boat. And God, knowing that, he's the only one with a billete, with the currency to pay for our relationship to be restored. Because it's not about me getting to heaven. That's super stupid. I'm not stupid. I'm sorry. That's super selfish. Like, you come to my house, you punch my wife, you kick my baby, and all you're worried about is getting back into my house, then all you want is my stuff. But if you're worried in restoring our relationship, we are about restoring our relationship with God because of all the crap we've done to him after he's done all those things for us. Heaven is a consequence of that. After we restore a relationship, he goes, all right, you can come back into my house. But we're super fixated in, I don't want to go to hell, I want to go to heaven. But our heart should be in, I need to fix that relationship with God. That's why the ticket for us going to heaven, for us to restore that relationship with God, is by accepting in faith the sacrifice of Jesus Christ to pay for all the sins we've done. And that's it. And I didn't understand it until I was like 30-something. I had no idea. Because como católico, buen católico, Jesús murió por mis pecados. Jesús murió por mis pecados. I don't know what I was saying. But it's that. I am in God's debt for an amount I can't pay. So he says, you know what? I'm going to pay it for you. All you have to do is accept it. But the second you take this money, you belong to me. That's why we say he redeemed us. He's our Savior, our Redeemer. I belong to God now. He's redeemed me because I did it wrong, and now I've accepted the sacrifice of Christ. Offer sacrifices in the right spirit and trust in the Lord. There are things you don't do, Danny, anymore because you know God doesn't like that, and because you know it doesn't bring you any good.
Mm-hmm.
That's a sacrifice. You did that in the right spirit. But if you don't sleep around and punch people and do horrible things because hay que dirá la gente, that's not in the right spirit.
But what about if I say, yeah, I don't do that, and I don't do that. But I think most of the people, and I'm just deadly honest here, most of the people, I do it. I don't do a lot of things because the same way I respected my biological father,
right?
I kind of respect and I'm kind of afraid of the Lord Jesus Christ. Because it only takes one click of a button for him to let me know, hey, you're not doing this right. But what about the people that say, I do it because I think it's not right, not because I'm not doing it out of respect for the Lord? And I'm asking this question, going again.
The good atheist.
Because it's exactly the good atheist.
The atheist in the soup kitchen.
So what do you think about good atheists, for example?
I was a good atheist.
You were a good atheist?
Yeah, I used to help people. I used to
But you were lost.
Right. So the idea is, and this is the one thing, when you begin to talk to someone, when somebody gives you the door to speak about the gospel, the very first thing we have, my very first foot in the door is, isn't the world a mess? Can we all agree that people are the worst?
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness.
We suck.
Even the best intentioned person could turn evil with $1 million. Like, I have friends that $1 million would kill them. They'll be dead in a month, 3 weeks. They would consume, like, with the best intention. It's like Gandalf with the ring. With the best intentions, you would take it with the best intentions. But if I give you power and money, that will kill you. That will kill me.
Yeah.
I would take it with the desire to do good, to do the best thing. Yeah. But through me, it would wield incredible, crazy power and do horrible things.
Would you want to be a millionaire?
No.
I mean,
I want to, of course, I want to be a millionaire, but me da miedito, man. Like, I don't know if I can handle that. I don't know if I can.
That's a question I asked myself a couple of days ago. I was having this internal analysis of where I was and where I've been and where I'm going to be eventually. and filling myself up with positivity and said everything's going to be right, everything's going to be fine, but not really knowing and kind of being scared of what type of north God has for me, because he's the only person who really knows, where the heck I'm going to be in the next 5 years. I'm just hoping that in any way he uses me, it's at least satisfying for me. And I think that's a very human way of putting it.
The good atheist?
Me? No way. I'm a believer.
No, but I mean, like what you were asking about, the good atheist. Like,
yeah, I mean,
I'm not supposed to go to someone who's opened up an orphanage and tell them, you're going straight to hell, buddy.
No, you don't.
You can't.
No.
You don't do that. But the reality is that, so what we believe in, what I believe in, is that we were created by God, and that I make choices that le faltan el respeto. I make disrespectful choices in light of all he's done for me. And I could either make it up to him by paying the price for each one of those bad things, and I would fall short infinity because I only have one life, or I can take his way, which is accepting in faith the sacrifice of Jesus Christ to restore my relationship with him.
It's scary because I've been thinking about what I was because it was really deep with myself, and it was really scary for me to say, okay, what would happen to me if I would become a millionaire from one day to another? Because I know what having money is, a little bit of money. I've never been rich, but I've had enough to do whatever I want in my range. But it's very scary to me to just maybe, for example, I win the lottery.
Could happen.
$30 million. So what happens now? Do I flip? Do I lose my faith? And it's kind of scary to have like a no plan future, because at the end of the day, if God is in control,
right,
there is no plan. It's just acceptance.
Right. It's
do you see it that way?
Yeah, I think like, well, again,
it's like go on the flow, live day by day.
It's a metaphysical idea that he exists outside of time. Danny, he died for the stuff you still haven't done yet.
Yeah.
He exists outside of the construct of time. That means when he died on that cross 2,000 years ago, he was dying for the thing you're going to do next week, next month, until the end. So for us to try to understand how he sees this river of time that for us is in one line is impossible. From our perspective, it feels that things are happening. From his perspective, it's all done. And I can't even get into that mindset because se me funde el cerebro. But yeah, it's a matter of surrounding yourself with people that are trying to look like this. This for me is growth. Like us talking and hanging out, like I love this. Same thing with Steve and with other people.
Listen, what we're talking about. I don't know if this is because I was reading. This is verse 4.
Uh-huh.
And it says, don't sin by letting anger control you. Think about the overnight and remain silent. Offer sacrifices in the right spirit and trust the Lord.
Trust the Lord.
Okay, so yeah, this is what I'm saying. It's you have to trust blindly. But how can you tell somebody to trust blindly when they don't understand what's really behind all of this? And that's why I said it's just you have to have the strength to just accept what's coming to you and embrace it. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to analyze it. You will someday say, aha. Mm-hmm. What we said at the beginning. Uh-huh. That's why this is happening. But it's kind of scary. Like I said, it's kind of scary looking at your future without having. I mean, you can have your plan. You can have your schedule. But that schedule is just nothing because you really don't know what's coming. At the end, you do not know what's coming towards you.
Did you see COVID coming? Did you see a year? Nobody saw that curveball.
Well, I was the first one wearing a mask in Panama because I was following it. But I never thought. And you can maybe kind of guess, and you can have a little bit of luck. When I closed the bar, everybody's like, "Yo, man, you're going over your head. You're just going too fast." And I said, "Listen, guys, this is not going to be over in December." It's right. Not. Remember what? December is fine. September even people.
I was buying rice in Price Mart. Everybody's like, "You're nuts, está loco."
I remember I went to Idan to pay the water bill, and I had a KN95 mask, and they're like,
El loco.
Like, you could be wearing one in a month.
Truly, I tell you. Yeah, so the concept of trusting God is... So my daughter is 3. When she was 6 months old, if I gave her una chuleta, she would have choked. Like, she would have died. She lacked the teeth, the digestive ability, the space to actually process that delicious chuleta. I give her to one now and she's fine. So it takes time. The idea of trusting God is a concept that takes spiritual maturity and a relationship with God. Yo le digo a los peladitos, if the worst behaved kid tells you, close your eyes and open your mouth, you're not going to do that. Está loco, man. It's going to be poop in my mouth. 100%. Or moco at best.
I was going to say a booger.
At best.
The booger.
At best. If my mom, when I was a kid, would say, Jorge, cierra los ojos y abre la boca, I'd be like,
yeah.
Because I trust that lady, man.
Yeah.
I know that she has the very best in store for me. And it usually was like chocolate or una rica, like, because I trust her, blind trust. But that was a relationship that I had. So as we continue hanging out with God, and I'm trying to push, I am a full pusher on spend time in Scripture. Lee la Biblia. Like, it's a thing that needs to happen so that you can develop that trust. So when that God inevitably goes, close your eyes and open your mouth. And he does that all the time. This road we're traveling on is trust. It's fog. I can't see my hand in front of me. I could be dead tomorrow, Danny. We don't know.
No.
We don't know.
That's what I'm saying. We have nobody has a plan. Our life is in God's hands. And that's the way it is, and you got to accept it. I could be dead tonight.
Yeah.
I could die going to my house right now.
End of the sentence. Like, it could happen. And look, that's why, me da miedo, and I've started doing it because I need to for organizational purposes. I have a schedule for the ministry until 2023, and I feel terrible doing that. Because it's like, I need flexibility. I need to know that what happens if we're going on a mission trip to Costa Rica in enero. What if they close the border? Se me fregó todo. I like the idea of flexible plans. I need to give God room to do his thing. I can't force stuff because...
So what do? You have a contingency? So what happens? I mean, you could... I mean, I doubt they're going to close the border, but I mean, what happens? Do you have like an immediate plan B, or you just
immediate
pull it out of the hat?
We go here somewhere.
Yeah.
We go to Cunayala, we go to Santiago. There's places we can go here.
Okay.
And when we go on the mission trip, I've told them I was on a mission trip where half of the team got salmonella, and we had to do the thing the next day. We figured it out. You have to figure it out. So, and Steve was there, and he told me we got to trust God. This did not catch God's sleeping. Like, God isn't asleep on the job. God uses horrible things that we make to then do incredible things. Like, he is a master of making a miracle out of a mess. He does that all the time, and I've seen it over and over again. And it's my invitation to you, to me, because I have to remember that, and to people listening and you're hearing, hang out with God, man. Develop that relationship so that when he goes, close your eyes and open your mouth, you'd be like, okay.
It's and to kind of like finish whatever I have to say here and whatever I'm helping people out, because I guess that anything that's probably coming out of my mouth a little bit will maybe open up people's eyes. And the only thing I can say is I've been through thick and thin, and my stance nowadays, sorry, it's 100%. I just leave it in his hands. It wasn't that way all the time, but nowadays, and if I don't do it, I start stressing, and I always go back and say, just leave it in his hands. He knows what the hell he's doing. If I start trying to figure everything out, because I do try to figure things out, but I can't try to figure and resolve 100% of things that happen in my life, may it be positive or negative. Mostly negative, you try to solve. When it's positive, you just let it go with the flow. But I don't try to solve everything because it just consumes me so much, and I accept the fact that everything has a reason. Like I've been, hammering through all this time that we've been here at the podcast. I have to accept whatever has been thrown at me. I have to believe, I have to have faith that there's a reason behind all this. And I'm not going to try to go around and find a solution for something that I can't resolve. Can you resolve it? No. Continue. Can you resolve it? Solve it. Continue. Do you have a clue of what's going to happen? No. Continue. Blindly in faith. And if you do that, you're going to be a happier person.
Do you have a car seat for when your kids were little? Do you have a car?
I still have it. My kid, and that's something that I've learned. It's in Germany they use seats. Well, we start with the baby seat, the conchita, and then But kids use, depending on their height as well. But kids use usually by law in Germany until they're 12.
We're on the same boat here, and we have had car seats for a very long time. They can from the hospital. Like they've never sat in a seat without the proper seating based on height and weight and whatever. And one of the things, one of those beautiful moments as a father was looking at them in the rearview mirror, completely asleep.
Yeah.
Fully trusting me.
Yeah.
I have their lives in my hand.
Yeah.
Like they're not trying to tell me how to drive the car. They're not telling me to go faster or go slower. They completely trust that I'm going to take them to a good place. And I think that's where we need to be. We need to let God drive and rest.
It's funny that you say that because did I tell you that I totaled my car, my sports car?
No.
The R2, the RS? Yeah.
I think you mentioned you had an accident, but I didn't know it was totaled.
Well, yeah. A month and a half ago, I was with my son. And my son, he's always wanted that car for graduation. So we're talking about, it's a sports car with 305 horsepower.
Wow.
That's nothing nowadays, but it is a fast car, very light car, and he wanted the car. And I was actually considering and giving him that car because it was the cheapest thing for me to do instead of buying a new car. This car was mint condition, and we took the car out when I almost never take it out. And long story short, we ended up crashing at La Cinta Costera, Paso Marino, in front of San Felipe.
Wow.
The road was damp. We were doing about 95 kilometers an hour, a little bit too fast. But it's the speed I've always been driving in, and that car was so safe. And we passed the Maracanã. We were already on top of the water, and I tend to drive always on the right side because the left lanes are always to pass.
Right.
So I was going all the way right, and it was a Sunday. It was about 6 p.m., and I hear cars just flooring it, and I look in the rear of a mirror, and I see a white Mustang with another car. I don't remember what the car was. So what I did was I floored it because they're really coming in hot, and there was cars around us. I'm like, Jesus, why are these people doing this? 51 years old. I don't need to be proving anybody anything, So I floored it because I had the power, and I wanted to get out of the way. And there was a truck in the middle lane that didn't let me see what was going on in the far left lane.
Snap.
And when I crossed, there was this Hyundai i20 or something like that, minuscule car, going at 40 kilometers an hour in the fast lane. I stomped on the brakes, hit the left jersey. We spun, hit the right jersey. The car went up in the air. I thought,
how are you alive?
I was like, we're going in the water. I told my son, I said, nos matamos. And my son was screaming. And it's kind of funky because...
Was it slow motion?
Everything was the snap was quick. It was... And then everything was like, whoa, just like in the movies. These things they put in the movies is because somebody's lived it and somebody's described it.
Wow.
So everything is going super slow motion. And I remember telling him, "Nos matamos," and then the car just goes.
You
up.
actually verbalized that.
I said that. Nos matamos, and then the car goes up in the air when it hits the right jersey. And I told them, no fuimos al agua. We're in the water. The thing is, the car came back down. We were looking at the incoming traffic. We did not hit anybody. Nobody hit us.
Wow, dude.
The car was totaled. And me and my son, we ended up in the hospital for just, routine checkup. Because I had back pain and he had back pain as well. But we're alive.
But you're here.
Yeah, and if I buy another car, I'm buying the same brand.
So, there's a scenario where a different car you wouldn't have made it.
For sure. Well, you know what? I don't know because because if somebody would have hit me.
How are you alive?
If somebody would have hit me on the door, because I remember that when we were spinning, we were doing 360s, and I remember when I saw cars coming towards me, but everybody stopped. I mean, they stomped on their brakes, and it was good enough because there was traffic around us. So I think we were spinning, and we went in between cars. Listen, I believe in luck, all right? But I also believe in the power above. And
you were spared.
And I think that was, this is
a miracle.
Yeah, but you know what I think it was? Aside of being a miracle, aside of being whatever, I think it was just it was God talking to me. And he's like, whatever you're thinking in regards to giving your son this car, I've erased it. Because I'm going to show you what can happen.
Wow.
When a kid, a teenager, is driving something like this, and you're only doing 90 or 95, and this kid will be doing 200. And if this happens at 200, he's going to be dead.
Oh, yeah.
So I honestly believe, I kid you not, I honestly believe that this is God that just said, I am not going to allow this. Boom. It's out of the plan.
God sometimes just sends a message like that. Like the Sicilians, like a dead fish at your door.
I truly believe if there was any doubt in my mind, minuscular doubt that these things could not happen, I'm cured, bro. And I truly believe that was God stopping me, because I had talked to Anna May, and I said to my wife, and I said, listen, so Juan David, we call him Titi. Titi se está graduando. He's going to be graduating in December. So what do we give him for his graduation as a gift? And we started going back and forth, and then we stumbled upon, hey, he loves the car. Let's give him the car. It's the cheapest thing we can do.
Right.
And then that happened.
That's crazy. So God sometimes, and we do that as parents too. Like, my daughter pulled the cat's tail, and I had to sit her and say, like, mas nunca le hagas eso. And I've had to speak forcefully. I had to be very clear, and I had to speak in a tone that makes her uncomfortable. But what I got from her was like, "Sí, papa." Like, it's clear. It's clear. And I think I don't want to be like whatever. I think COVID was that too. God just threw the anchor on all of us, because it was the whole world. Like, I would have never thought something like that could happen. I thought when it happened, and we were spinning, because it was a moment at the beginning we were spinning, I also said,
crazy
nos
times.
matamos. I'm like, it's the apocalypse. It's on. Let's get water. I started planting tomatoes in the back of my house. Like, I bought a bunch of rice. We bought like chlorine pills. Like, we were ready for la ponchera.
Dude, I bought machetes, and I bought plywood to, because I was thinking, my mind was like, oh my God,
Se formó.
Walking Dead.
Se formó.
And I always said, and I was really active about it, because I would tell my my neighbors, like, listen guys, it's on.
Se formó.
Se formó. y the Walking Dead, they're not going to be zombies. Eso va a ser la gente.
Hungry people.
Exacto. Hungry people, killing for food. So we were like, okay, let's have the board. I kid you not, we had the boards ready, man. And I had machetes. My machete, man, it looks like a sword. It's so long.
Oh my goodness.
I think it's as long as that base, man.
Oh my goodness. And I had to care for my wife, my 2 little daughters, and my elderly mom, and I was the only guy. So for me, that was a period of heavy anxiety, unresolved anxiety. That cuando se acabó todo se calmó, I had to go to a therapist, talk about it, because, and we had a therapist here, one of our episodes about mental health. Is it bad to be a Christian and seek mental health help? No, it's not, dude. Like,
I mean, we've got psychologists in the church.
Yeah, but there are people who believe, there are people in the church who believe that seeking mental health as a Christian is not trusting God.
Well, there's even more than that, But no, it's not wrong.
No, I seeked enough time. I prayed to God. God, help me with these glasses. I can't see. Help me. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, you need glasses, and I got glasses. Like. Mm-hmm. That was his help. Thank you, God. Thank you for giving me the resources to be able to do this, for living in a time in the history of humanity where we can do this, when I can afford it. Thank you. Thank you. Like, can he miraculously make my astigmatismo go away? Of course, in a second, in a heartbeat. But
he doesn't want to.
Because you won't spare me from learning the bad stuff about the car setup. There's a lesson in the process that I need to learn. Like, he can do supernatural things, but it would spare me from so much. I am. If I don't have this, the world is all messed up. Like, it reminds me of my
looking underwater.
It's really messed up. Dude, it's crazy. It's like.
So how much do you have?
I don't remember.
Dude, if I take my glasses off and say, "Hey, mom, how you doing?" Oh, it's not my mom. I'm sorry. Is it mom?
No,
is it you?
I see like a
Dude, I see. Jesus, ¿cómo se llama el bicho ese de la película con Arnold Schwarzenegger? Terminator? No, the other one. The one with the dreads, the Jamaican alien.
Predator.
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 The Jamaican alien.
Oh my goodness, Jamaican alien. That's a good name for a band. Okay, so let's finish. We've been talking for almost 2 hours, dude.
It's been awesome, man.
I could talk for another 2. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like,
we have to be continued.
To be continued.
We have no plot. We have no script. It's just we're just blabbing away.
We're talking because sometimes you need to.
Podcast is a conversation.
It is a conversation. It is a conversation. If you're in traffic listening to this, if you're, doing dishes listening to this, gardening listening to this, like, this is it's a format that's been effective to communicate, to process. It's like, this is therapy. I should be paying people to come talk to me. Like, all right, so verse 8. Many people say, "Who will show us better times? Let your face smile on us, Lord. You have given me greater joy than those who have abundant harvest of grain and new wine." We were talking about that. "In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, O Lord, will keep me safe." You can be miserable with a bunch of money.
Totally.
You can be completely unfulfilled. I mean, what was that guy, the chef Bourdain?
Yeah. What was his name?
Jacques Bourdain, something like that. Like,
yeah, he was actually he was friends with a friend of mine, and I remember when he committed suicide. I mean, this guy had everything going for himself.
Dave Chappelle he has a little skit about him and about how he has a friend that is super poor, and how this guy would travel, meet super awesome people, have the best meals, got to go everywhere, and it was like
he was just not happy. And you start analyzing, like, how can you not be happy, bro? Listen, what's his name? I have to find out what his name is. Bourdain, Jeff Bourdain, John Bourdain, forget. For everything else, Google. So the thing is,
we got to do what Rogan does. We have to have like a little monitor,
yeah,
where we could look up for stuff.
So the thing is, listen, like I've said, I've been there. I was at a point where I could go to a shop, and if there was a brand new spanking, motorcycle adventure tour that I'm super into,
Anthony Bourdain.
I would go say, you know what? I want that bike. So maybe I couldn't buy it cash, but I could say, you know what? Here, you have $10,000 in down. Just swipe my card. I would pay that card off in, let's say, 6 months, and I had my bike. But I was so miserable, man. I was just so empty. And I thought that by buying all these material things, may it be brand new headphones, may it be a $1,500 phone, whatever, set up a bar for my brother, would actually make me happy. No, man. I was so wrong.
Do you feel that it highlighted the emptiness?
Yes, it did. Because, I was just putting on a mask and everybody else was seeing like my success, but I was being so unsuccessful inside. I was so freaking lost. It was amazing. And I was a church member. I got baptized here because I wanted to be baptized, and I got baptized at a certain point that I think I was a bit premature, because I thought that by getting baptized, Steve did, but I thought that by getting baptized at that time, which was, I don't know how long it was, I think it was about 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I'd be set.
No.
I'm going to be very honest with you. My first real step is today.
Hallelujah.
Honestly.
freaking awesome.
Yeah.
It'll make me cry, dude. Like, seriously.
It's my first real step in just like doing something. I could, like you said, I could sit here for 4 more hours and I can just keep on going and going. But honestly, to God, this is today the first step of maybe something new coming. I don't know what's going to happen.
It's so good.
But I truly believe that.
It's so good. Praise the Lord, man.
Yeah, amen.
That's true, yeah. Because we need to educate. Like, there is a bunch of biblical illiteracy. Dude, I tell the kids, some kids are like, I don't want to get baptized because I'm not ready. It's like, I continued sinning after I got baptized. It didn't stop. However, the public act of baptism said, work in progress here. I started wearing God's shirt. It didn't say that I was fixed, but it said I am seeking treatment. I finally come to the conclusion that I need help, and I'm making that public so that all of you know that I am now under construction and I'm seeking treatment. It doesn't mean that I started doing things better, and I thought that that's what it was going to mean. I thought it was like, get baptized and I'm good. No, but then I got baptized, and the next day I looked at a girl in lust. And then I got baptized a couple of weeks, I did, or I thought, or I went, or I said, and I'm like, so it's not baptism. It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
I am a work in progress. And it'll be like that to the day I die. I think you got baptized right on time.
You think so?
Right on time, man.
I think I thought that it was not the right time because, like you said, it was a work in process. I think I was going to be, well, maybe, yeah. But, I mean, at the time, I was like, yeah, man, this is the way. I'm going to be saved. No, man, you really have to work. I
mean, you made public, and that's the thing about that. I'm going to get into the theological part of it. You can do nothing to help Jesus save you. He did absolutely everything. You can take all your money, open up an orphanage. That's not going to get you any more into heaven than anything. I mean, there's things to say about what you do with the time you have, and there's places, and that's another thing. But that eunuch, the guy who died next to Jesus Christ and said, like, Lord, don't forget me when you go to heaven. Jesus said, son, I'll see you in a little bit. That guy didn't go to church. That guy didn't get baptized. That guy never went to a service. He didn't volunteer for Kids Club. He didn't have a ministry. He just accepted in faith Jesus. And Jesus said, that's the ticket home. In your current situation, that's the most you can possibly do. You're coming home, son. So the act of making public your decision to have Jesus Christ as Lord happened right on time. Your process has been slow by your own admission. It's taken time. It's gotten to a point right now that you're like, something's going to change. And that's all part of the process. That's the things God wouldn't spare you from your setup, from your car rig. You needed to go through the things you went through today.
There's things that I don't know how you feel, but for me, for example, when you do something good, for example, sitting here in this room, speaking about, experiences and it's when I come here, even listening to you, listening to Steve, back in the days, listening to Bob, I had an hour and 15 minutes of Zen. And that's what draws me every Sunday here. Can I do more? Yes. Am I doing more? I hope so. I hope that this here, for example, is the beginning of something interesting that, in 5-10 years, we look back. You remember when we started the podcast and that little room?
Before the aliens showed up?
Where the aliens showed up. I mean, I just feel so at home right now, and I could do this forever. And you know what? One of the things that I like about podcasting, and this is really serious what I'm saying, is that it makes you study. It makes you learn because you want to sound coherent.
Right.
And it's healthy.
Yeah.
Why? Because you're learning and you're feeding yourself with knowledge. And if I said something today that I said, I don't know. Well, maybe next week or maybe next month when I'm back, I'll probably know.
Good. That's good.
Yeah. So I think it's a process. I think everybody should go through this process, and at the same time, just let it go, man. Go with the flow. Believe in God. Have faith in Him. He will lead you in the right path. And I'm honestly, I am the perfect example of somebody not being perfect, and I'm never going to be perfect. I don't want to be perfect. I don't. I'm not interested in being perfect. I'm just interested in being good and learning not to be a hypocrite to myself.
Right. Because we lie to ourselves. Like that's the first person we lie to. Like we talked about, the first oppressed were the Germans. The first deceived, the first person we deceive is ourselves. Yeah. I don't got a drinking problem. I can stop gambling anytime.
Yeah.
It's only a video game. It's only board games. It's only a friend. Like, we lie to ourselves all the time. So to be confronted with our truth is the first step for growth. Like, I just broke my leg and I need to go to the hospital. Like, accepting like, I need help. I need to grow. I need to know my Bible better if I'm going to be living this life. Because if all it takes is $1 million for you to, like, quit the church, Danny, then you were never in the church. I would pray that God would bless you with $10 million now, and then you would know exactly what to do with it. I know exactly how this is going to play out, because I've already talked about what would happen. And God may not give you 1 or 10. He can give you 50 because he knows you can handle it, but he will never give us more than I can handle. I know God's never going to give me money because I have a problem. I love shopping stuff. I grew up poor all my life, so I have to have under control my desire to buy stuff. But if you've had money and God believes that you can handle it, God is going to set you up so that you can make moves for your family, for people. You can open like a scholarship for a kid who's going to biblical school. You can, fund a mission field in Iran. You can do like so many things for the kingdom. But it's those talents that God, los talentos, the money that he gives you, invest it, move it on. So I believe God is going to give you exactly what you need in order to do what he wants you to do. And it's this process that he has you on. And I'm so honored and privileged. When you said that this was a moment in your life, like, I'm going to go home and cry to my wife, like, because every once in a while I ask God, is what I'm doing making any impact? Like, is anything that I'm doing working? Because it's so frustrating not to see it work.
But it's honestly, I'm very honest with you. It feels cool. And it took us how many weeks?
Oh my goodness.
A month.
That's why the opposition was so heavy.
A month.
I had a fever last night, and Janice said, do you want to meet with Danny? I took medicines. I'm fine now. I don't have anything. But I had doubts. Should we do it? Should I cancel again? Like, when you sent me a message at the end, was like, is he going to cancel again? Are we going to be able to do this?
Yeah.
And then I remember, like, there's opposition. Something's going to happen.
Yeah.
There's going to be a breakthrough. And it's not just
Has this been your longest podcast?
Yeah, for sure. And it's gone by, like, we could keep going.
Yeah.
We could totally keep going, but we need to stop.
Yeah.
But we got to do this again.
We will.
So let me finish by praying, and then we'll move on. God, man, you know that I am a broken man. I am not a good person. I am a sinful person. You have my internet history from the beginning of my life. You know the mess and the wreck I am. So I am in no moral high ground at all. I am a consumer of you. So I need you, Father. Thank you so much for conspiring. Like, oh my goodness, the conspiracy for this guy and me to talk and to just sharpen each other out and grow together and just share experiences, God. I want to ask you if it's possible that this podcast, this episode right now, lands in the ears of someone who needs to hear it to make their breakthrough, to make their journey. And the journey can begin with questions, with doubts, with, use us, use this, Lord. I want to thank you for Danny and his life, for his heart, his sincerity, his honesty, his vulnerability, which is something that is so missing in this world, God. Father, I pray that you continue to bless us with kindness, patience, and that you protect our marriages and our relationships with our children, with our wives, with our community, and that you give us like a medicinal hunger for your word, that we seek your word like insulin for a diabetic, like just necessary for us to survive. At the beginning with hesitation because we don't know maybe, but ultimately that it just becomes this thing that we need, this vitamin, this product, this thing that we need just to move on and live, Lord. Thank you for this space. Thank you for the generosity of the donation of all these things that we have here, and help us just to honor you in everything we do. We love you, God, and it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, brother. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us. I don't know if I'm going to split this into 2 hours or 1 hour. I'm just going to give out the whole thing. So we'll see you guys next time.